WADR, promoting dialogue. It's midday in Dakar. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Senegalese President Diomaye Faye begins state visit to neighboring Guinea-Bissau. Opposition Cap Cote d'Ivoire gears up for mass protests amid venue uncertainty. In Nigeria, trade begins in Southeastern Africa Air Cargo Corridor on the after.
We launched authorized economic operator program to ensure that as many businesses that are compliant with the rules can get expedited treatment in all our points of entry.
And health experts urge action as palliative care lags in Togo.
We are calling for the importation of morphine, a commonly used and essential pain-relieving drug classified at the third level of the WHO pain ladder. As we speak, many people are suffering in pain, groaning in distress, with no effective pain management options available to them.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Imo Edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. Let's begin here in Senegal as President Diomaye Faye has embarked on a 24-hour state visit to Guinea-Bissau aimed at strengthening and redefining bilateral cooperation between the two neighboring countries. In meetings with his Bissau-Guinean counterpart, President Wadr Embalo, the two leaders are expected to explore new avenues of collaboration across several key sectors. Fisheries, a cornerstone of the Senegal-Guinea-Bissau partnership, will feature prominently in discussions, with both parties working to develop updated strategies for the sustainable management and promotion of maritime resources. Infrastructure development is also on the agenda, particularly the rehabilitation of the vital Ziguinchor-Bissau road. The project is seen as essential for boosting cross-border trade and economic integration. Another important topic likely to be discussed is the situation in Casamance, a region in southern Senegal with a long-running separatist movement. Recent agreements between the Senegalese government and a faction of the separatists have seen Guinea-Bissau step in as a key mediator. As part of his visit, President Faye will be awarded the Cabral Medal, Guinea-Bissau's highest national honor. He will also pay tribute to the legacy of Amilcar Cabral, the revered leader of the country's independence movement, with a visit to his resting place at the historic Amoura Fortress. Elsewhere, just 2 days ago, Cote d'Ivoire's opposition coalition Cap Cote d'Ivoire is mobilizing for a major rally to protest the exclusion of key opposition leaders, despite uncertainty over whether the event will be allowed to proceed at its planned location. The protest is aimed at challenging the exclusion of prominent opposition figures from the electoral process. Abdullah Hassan reports.
Led by Charles Blé Goudé, the Coalition for Peaceful Alternation in Côte d'Ivoire, Cap Côte d'Ivoire, has built the rally as a signal of its strength and unity. However, doubts are surfacing about the event's viability following reports that Yopougon's town hall has yet to approve the use of Place Figaro, the intended venue for the gathering. While the information is circulating widely online, Cap Côte d'Ivoire has not officially confirmed or denied the venue denial. Instead, the coalition has stated that the location of the demonstration will be disclosed during a press conference scheduled for Monday, May 26. The event will also provide updates on the coalition's preparations for the rally, which is being closely watched as a test of its mobilization power. The protest comes at a time of growing tension between opposition forces and the government. While Cap Côte d'Ivoire pushes forward with its public display of dissatisfaction, it is also seeking political dialogue with the ruling party. So far, that request has not gone unanswered. Key opposition demands include an independent audit of the electoral roll, a fresh revision of the electoral register, and the reinstatement of leaders who have been removed from the list of eligible candidates. As the countdown to May 31 continues, all eyes are on the coalition's next move and whether the rally will proceed as planned or face disruption from local authorities.
Abdullah Hassan filed that report. The standoff between Niger and the Chinese company China National Petroleum Corporation is clearly not yet over. In a letter to the CNPC, the Minister of Oil, Dr. Shahabi Dumaru, requested that the Chinese staff who have been in post for more than 4 years leave by the end of May. Christopher Tisha completes the story.
Niger's Minister of Oil, Dr. Sahabi Dumaru, has issued a formal letter to CNPC demanding the departure of Chinese staff who have overstayed their legal tenure. According to Niger's labor code and regulations, in the extractive sector, foreign workers are typically limited to 1-year contracts to encourage the inclusion and advancement of local talents. Minister Dumaru accused CNPC of showing contempt for national laws, particularly by refusing to rotate expatriate staff and by blocking Nigerian professionals from rising to leadership roles. The government now considers all foreign employees who have exceeded the 4-year mark as persona non grata. This directive comes on the heels of the recent expulsion of top executives from CNPC, Soras, and WAPCO, highlighting a growing standoff as Niger pushes for greater control over foreign-operated industries. The administration of General Abdurrahman Chiani is demanding full compliance with national laws and increased access to oversight for Chinese activities in the country. Authorities are also calling for local professionals to be appointed to decision-making roles within CNPC with equal rights and compensation as their foreign counterparts. The situation underscores a broader shift in Niger's foreign policy, signaling its determination to assert control over strategic sectors and ensure fair employment practices within international partnerships.
Christopher Tisha with that report.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
The security matters now. In Nigeria, a Catholic priest is fighting for his life after suspected herdsmen opened fire on his vehicle along a notorious highway in Nigeria's Benue State. The attackers also adopted 2 people traveling with him. The incident adds to the growing concerns over the escalating insecurity along the Makurdi-Naka road. Nadine Tite completes the story.
Reverend Father Solomon Atongo, who serves as a priest in charge of St. John's Kwezai Parish, Jimba, was reportedly traveling with 2 companions when the attackers opened fire. Believing he was dead, the gunmen abducted the other 2 individuals and fled the scene. The priest was later rushed to hospital in critical condition. The Chancellor of the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi, Reverend Father Shima Ukbanya, confirmed the attack in a statement on behalf of the Bishop, Most Reverend Wilfred Chikpa Anagbe. He called for prayers for the priest's recovery, noting that medical personnel are working to stabilize him. Father Upanya said the church is deeply concerned by the growing insecurity in the area and urged the faithful to pray for divine intervention, invoking the intercession of the Virgin Mary. The Makurdi-Naka axis has become increasingly dangerous in recent years, with repeated incidents of violence, abductions and killings. The deteriorating security situation has led many motorists to abandon the route altogether. Authorities have yet to issue an official response, as the Benue State Police Command remains silent on the latest incident.
Nadine filed that report. In the meantime, Nigeria has marked a significant milestone in its trade and logistics landscape with the official launch of the Nigeria East Southern Africa Air Cargo Corridor under the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Area after. The inaugural air cargo flag-off ceremony held at Abuja International Airport was a landmark event symbolizing Nigeria's commitment to deepening intra-African trade, strengthening regional supply chains, and accelerating the movement of goods across borders via air freight. According to the Comptroller General of Nigerian Customs, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi, the new cargo corridor aims to facilitate faster, more efficient trade between Nigeria and partner countries in East and Southern Africa. He added that the move will strengthen Nigeria's position as a central hub in the AfCFTA's emerging air logistics network.
We understand President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's has been deliberate and intentional, in encouraging non-oil exports, making Nigeria's economy very, very competitive, and ensuring that trade becomes a foreign exchange earner for Nigeria. So we are bringing initiatives that speak directly into this. We launched authorized economic operator program to ensure that as many businesses that are compliant with the rules can get expedited treatments in all our points of entry. We have automated our procedures. We now have a brand new platform through which international trade is conducted. So we are key to all of these initiatives, and one of the things we have also done for this is to get the technical expertise, particularly in the areas of origin, rules of origin. I mean, very, very easily in the kind of markets like this, we could have operators who would import things and then try to benefit from market access and will not be able to achieve the two objectives. So we are building capacity of all our officers and with expertise and providing the automated platform that will encourage processing of trade.
Nigeria's Comptroller General of the Customs, Bashir Adewale Adini, speaking there. Now, let's take it to the weekend celebration of Africa Day, which saw various non-governmental organizations, civil society groups, and state authorities raising concerns about addressing the harm caused by slavery, colonialism, and other inequalities in Africa. These concerns gained momentum during the celebration of Africa Day 2025, which featured a strong political message focused on justice, dignity, and sovereignty. Celebrated annually on May 25, Africa Day commemorates the founding of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, in 1963, which has since evolved into the African Union, AU. Augustine Coley filed this report.
At an event organized by the Open Society Foundation, OSF, in collaboration with West Africa Democracy Radio, One Campaign, JCR, and 3 others, stakeholders gathered in Dakar to reflect on Africa's ongoing struggle for justice and to amplify the call for reparations. Desire Asobbavi, Advocacy Advisor for Africa at OSF, emphasized that the reparations agenda must go beyond mere historical reflection and inspire transformative action.
This day is also a call for the whole world that Africa is conscious of its past. It is important to recall that we need justice to be done for all the wrong that has been done against the continent.
Vespat calls for reparations for injustices against the people of African descent. Strengthening accountability at the continental level remains a major challenge for various African governments. This challenge hampers Africa's ability to implement transparent governance processes. Dr. Iyo Monono is the chair of political affairs at the AU ECOSOC.
The framework is there. I think it's the implementation which is the challenge, and I think as civil society, we need to hold our governments accountable and try to see that we can push them further to say, please, can we respect this and can we make it more accountable? Because when we have accountability, I think the African continent is not going to be the same.
On the economic front, Africa's constant reliance on foreign aid to sustain its economies exposes the weakness of regional organizations like ECOWAS to cultivate the abundant resources in the region and ensure adequate distribution of goods and services for Africans. Sheikh Anta Gaye, an economist and former advisor to the IMF, has this to say.
What is important to do for ECOWAS is to design a strategy. I know they do have one, but the world has changed and we have new resources which can allow us to be together. Based on this, we can really see what to do going forward.
Over 60% of Africa's population is under the age of 25. Efforts to restore justice and strengthen accountability cannot succeed without the full involvement and participation of African youths. Gloria Boko and Gabriela Mbala are 2 African youth advocates who strongly support this perspective.
It is time for us to remind them that we have our own place. It's really important to teach children, to tell them that they are the ones who will change things. We are the change.
We are also reclaiming that reparation so that they can give Africa enough space and give Africa its right place in the decision.
Africa Day 20 2025 has emerged as a pivotal moment and a reaffirmation of the continent's commitment to a just and sovereign future.
Augustine Coley filed that report. In a related development, Ghana's President John Mahama, who is also the African Union's champion for reparations, has outlined a vision of reparative justice that includes official apologies from former colonial powers, cancellation of unjust debts, the return of stolen cultural artifacts, and investment in education to amplify African history and heritage. President Mahama called for unity and collective effort, urging fellow African leaders, civil society, youth groups, and the diaspora to rally around the cause.
Reparations are not merely about financial compensation. They are about acknowledging the profound and enduring damage inflicted upon our people. They are about confronting the uncomfortable truths of our past and taking concrete steps to rectify these wrongs. We seek justice that encompasses a comprehensive range of measures, including official and unequivocal apologies from the nations and institutions responsible for perpetrating these historical injustices, addressing the crippling debt burden that continues to stifle economic growth in many African nations, a direct consequence of exploitation and unfair trade practices, providing resources and expertise to empower African nations to achieve sustainable development and participate fully in the global economy, returning stolen artifacts and cultural treasures that rightfully belong to our heritage, investing in the educational initiatives to promote a deeper understanding of African history, culture, and contributions to the world. This is not a simple task. It requires courage, determination, and a unified front. It requires us to engage in meaningful dialogue with those responsible and to advocate tirelessly for our rights. I call upon my colleague African leaders, civil society organizations and youth groups, and members of the diaspora to join hands in this important endeavor.
Ghana's President John Mahama speaking there. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Senegalese President Diomaye Faye begins state visit to neighboring Guinea-Bissau. Opposition Cap Cote d'Ivoire gears up for mass protests amid venue uncertainty. Nigeria begins its Southern Africa air cargo corridor under AFTA. And still ahead of the news, health experts urge action as palliative care lags in Togo. We do have a guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Well, don't forget, you can listen to us live on wadr.org. And we urge you to join our live streamings on Facebook and YouTube. Now, former Liberian cultural ambassador Julie Endi is urging young entrepreneurs to embrace networking and collaboration as powerful tools to grow and sustain their businesses. She made a call at the lively ECOWAS Made in Liberia trade fair, where she also signed a new deal with ECOWAS, an event that promoted peace, regional unity, and marked 50 years of ECOWAS achievement. WADL's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
With ECOWAS' 50th anniversary celebration set for May 28 in Abuja, anticipation is high across the region. In Liberia, the festivities took off with the launch of the Made in Liberia initiative, highlighting local produce and celebrating the spirit of free trade. The event brought together Liberian stars and entrepreneurs, with former cultural ambassador Julie Endi framing her ECOWAS contract signing as a testament to Liberian creativity and resilience. She announced a lineup of pre-anniversary activities, including a mobile stage tour across Liberia to the end of the month, urging young Liberians to seize international opportunities and help shape the region's future.
ECOWAS has been promoting peace and alleviating poverty and diseases. And then here in Liberia today, we are having the Made in Liberia products, because ECOWAS promotes free trade. And so Liberia is producing their own thing made in Liberia. So the Made in Liberia organization and ECOWAS launched this day.
And they also shared exciting updates from her recent trip to Osaka, Japan, revealing that Liberia now sits on the Bureau of International Exhibitions Steering Committee and is preparing to host the International Women's Conference.
Liberia was very instrumental in shining on the world stage. We've had a lot of collaborations with cities in Japan. All these are going to contribute to the Liberia's participation.
As ECOWAS marks 5 decades, the message from Liberia is clear. The youth hold the key to the region's next chapter. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
In health news, the Division for the Surveillance of Non-Communicable Diseases in Togo is advocating for greater awareness and integration of palliative care within the health system. Despite the country's effort, palliative care remains underdeveloped, highlighting the urgent need to intensify advocacy among decision makers. Seconde completes the story.
In Togo, access to palliative care remains limited, despite its crucial role in improving the lives of patients with serious illnesses. Palliative care is a holistic approach that enhances the quality of life for patients facing life-threatening conditions. A lecturer in palliative care, Sylvie Davy, has been explaining further.
Palliative care is an approach that improves the quality of life for patients suffering from chronic, progressive, and even severe illnesses. This approach also extends to family members and focuses not only on the physical dimension but also on holistic, psychological, spiritual, social, and even cultural aspects, especially since we are in Africa.
According to the World Health Organization, 20 million people suffering from serious, progressive, and potentially life-threatening illnesses require palliative care each year, recalls Sylvie Davy.
We are calling for the importation of morphine, a commonly used and essential pain-relieving drug classified at the 3rd level of the WHO pain ladder. As we speak, many people are suffering in pain, groaning in distress, with no effective pain management options available to them. That's why we urge the government to import this vital pain relief medication to help ease their suffering.
Despite this need, access to palliative care in Togo remains limited, says Professor Mafu Bello, head of the Division for the Surveillance of Non-Communicable Diseases.
We began implementing palliative care at the CHU Sylvanus Olympia Hospital. Unfortunately, just as we were setting up the infrastructure to incorporate morphine into our care program, the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 struck and brought our efforts to a halt. We now need funding to resume and carry out our activities on the ground. We also urge policymakers to listen because at some point in life, everyone may need palliative care.
Although palliative care was officially integrated in Togo's national health policy in 2014, it has yet to be effectively implemented.
Our Lome correspondent Sylvia Wadrago's report there and presented by Sankole Janko. Now, a tragic building collapse in Touba, Senegal, has left 11 people dead and 7 injured, according to a provisional toll. The accident involved a 3-story building under construction. The prefect of Make Hakim Han spoke on the causes of the disaster, stating that construction standards were not respected. He emphasized that this tragedy is particularly disturbing because the building was new and still under construction, not old or deteriorated. Authorities are continuing rescue efforts and investigations to determine full responsibility and prevent similar tragedies in the future.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, the world comes together annually on every May 25 to honor and commemorate Africa Day, as well as celebrate the continent's rich cultural diversity, natural wealth, and enduring pursuit of unity and prosperity. Well, this year's event was commemorated under the theme Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparations. In Dakar, the Open Society Foundation convened several stakeholders to reflect on Africa's ongoing quest for justice and to strengthen calls for reparations. Desiree Sogbavi is the advocacy advisor for Africa at OSF.
I recall that the Africa Day that we are celebrating today is a very important one for the African continent, and especially at this particular moment with what is going on around the world, the change of the geopolitical situations. Africa has to use the moment to reinforce its unity. Africa has to speak strongly with one voice and avoid all kind of division that we have inherited from the colonization, from slavery, and so on. This day is also a call for the whole world that Africa is conscious of its past. We have the duty to teach our past to our young people and build on that past to form a better future. So it is important to recall that we need justice to be done for all the wrong that has been done against the continent. But in the same time, we also recall to ourselves that when we are asking the whole world to be just vis-a-vis Africa, we need to look at the duties of our own leaders. African countries have been independent for more than 60 years now. What have we done for the young generations? Because today you agree with me that many of our young people are even trying to run away from the continent. It is because they don't see much future in their own continent. So that's a big question for us.
How do you think, or how possible this can work when some of these African countries, the various governments, are aligning with Western powers and they are having relations with those people?
I believe the recent past have shown us a reality that Africa is only responsible for its own interests. We have seen what happened during COVID-19, where vaccine was not available for Africans, or only if no other country from where vaccine manufactures, if no other country needed, it's only that they are sent to the continent. We have a number of other examples that show us today that we are the sole responsible for our own future. So Africa has to unite stronger than before. We remember the call for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in 1963, but the continent has not followed it. Today it is clear for us that we need to think about how strong Africa can be so we can claim the space, the political space, the economic space, and cultural space that belong to the continent.
An important aspect of this year's theme is to strengthen accountability. Are the African governments really accountable to their own citizens?
Unfortunately, accountability is still something that we need to work on a lot, and we raise it during the discussion today. We cannot reach the full development that we aspire to if we are not accountable to each other.
Desiree Sogbavi is the Advocacy Advisor for Africa at the OSF. Well, in sport news, Mali's Sidiki Jara wins 30th Tour de Togo, while Burkina Faso tops the ranking team. Well, on Saturday, the Malian cyclist Sidiki Jara emerged as the overall winner, successfully defending the yellow jersey, while Burkina Faso took top honors in the team classification. The final stage, held at a closed circuit in the Togolese capital, Lomé, was won by Burkinabe's rider Soumaïla Il Bodo. Despite not winning the stage, Jara's consistent performance throughout the tour secured his place at the top of the general classification, underscoring Mali's dominance in this year's event. The Tour du Togo once again showcased West Africa's rising talent in competitive cycling and the growing strength of regional teams. And that's it on this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and the technical teams. Do interact with us via social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, RWDL News, and Facebook West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is a flagship health program, Well Buddy. I am Imo Edet. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM.